The echoes of yesterday. Evelyn Harper, a late-30s investigative journalist, sharp, driven, with a hidden past she's been trying to outrun for years. Marcus Kane, a former detective-turned-private investigator, in his 40s. He carries a heavy secret that connects him to the darkness. Grace Harper, Evelyn's younger sister, an innocent woman in her late 20s, unknowingly caught in a web of deception that ties her to the mysterious disappearances. The Watcher, a nameless, shadowy figure who knows far too much about the past and seems to control everything in the shadows. Evelyn Harper sat in her dimly lit apartment, sifting through years of case files that seemed to grow darker with every passing minute. The disappearances of young women had been a cold case for nearly 10 years, but Evelyn was convinced there was something more to it, something that tied all the victims to the same address, 308 Pinehurst Avenue. All the women were last seen there, but the police never connected the dots. Her phone buzzed on the table. A text from her younger sister, Grace. "I think I saw something strange. I feel like I'm being followed. Are you at home?" Evelyn's stomach tightened. Grace had only just moved to the city a few weeks ago, finding her first apartment on the outskirts. Evelyn had warned her to be cautious, but this was different. Before she could respond, a knock echoed from her door. Marcus Kane, a former detective-turned-private investigator, stood there holding an envelope. His expression was grave, eyes darting nervously. Evelyn, frowning. "Marcus, what's going on?" Marcus, voice low, "You need to stop. Stop digging into the Pinehurst case. You're too close to something dangerous." Evelyn's heart raced. "What are you talking about?" "I'm just connecting the dots." "Grace." Marcus, cutting her off. "Grace is in more danger than you think. This isn't just about you or the case. They're coming for her." Before Evelyn could respond, Marcus shoved the envelope into her hands. "You need to get to her, now." The storm raged as they rushed to Grace's apartment. Wind whipped the streets, and the city lights flickered erratically. Evelyn felt the weight of the case pressing on her, but the concern for her sister outweighed everything. They arrived at Grace's apartment building. The halls were dark, the air thick with a sense of foreboding. Evelyn knocked on Grace's door. "Evelyn, Grace, it's me. Open up." No answer. Evelyn turned the knob, but the door was unlocked. She pushed it open, and the scene that greeted her was chilling. Grace's apartment was in disarray. A glass of water had been spilled across the floor, her purse was left open on the coffee table, and her phone was lying on the floor, cracked, with a message open on the screen. "I'm scared. They're here." Evelyn's breath caught. "Grace?" But there was no reply. Marcus moved toward the window, scanning the streets below. The tension in the room thickened. Suddenly, Evelyn's phone buzzed with a video message from Grace. Her voice trembled in the video. Grace's voice, on video. "Evelyn, they're here. I don't know who they are, but they're. I think I'm being." The video cut out abruptly. Evelyn, frantic. "No. Grace." Before they could react, a loud crash echoed from down the hall. They ran toward the sound, and what they found in the shadows left them frozen in fear. A figure stood in the doorway, cloaked in darkness, just outside of the weak light cast by the hallway lamp. The Watcher. His face was hidden in shadow, but Evelyn felt an overwhelming sense of dread emanating from him. The Watcher, his voice cold, emotionless. "You shouldn't have come here." Evelyn's pulse raced. "Who are you? What do you want with my sister?" The Watcher stepped forward, revealing a glimpse of his face, pale and gaunt, but his eyes, empty, like pits that sucked in all light. The Watcher, "You're already too late. She's ours." Before Evelyn could process the threat, a gunshot rang out, and the figure disappeared into the darkness. They chased after the Watcher, down into the building's basement. The further they descended, the more oppressive the air felt, thick, like the walls themselves were closing in on them. Evelyn had been chasing shadows her entire life, but this felt different. More personal. More dangerous. The basement was damp and dark, the only light coming from a flickering bulb in the corner. Then, in the farthest corner, she saw a door slightly ajar. She pushed it open, and the sight before her nearly broke her. Grace stood in the center of the room, her back to them. But something was wrong. Her skin was pale, her eyes glazed over, as if she were in a trance. The room was filled with old symbols drawn in red across the floor, and a low hum filled the air. "Grace," her voice distant, almost mechanical, "it's done. The ritual is complete. It was always supposed to be me." Evelyn's heart dropped. "Grace, no. What are you saying? What have they done to you?" Before Grace could respond, the Watcher stepped forward, his voice smooth, confident. "The Watcher, you never understood, did you? This isn't just a case. It's a legacy. You're both tied to it, tied to the ritual that started long before you were born." Evelyn felt her world tilt. "What ritual?" Marcus stepped forward, his voice steady but strained. "You need to listen. You've been investigating the disappearances, but the truth isn't just about them. It's about Grace. The women were part of something older, something darker. A bloodline. Grace is the last piece. The sacrifice that completes the cycle." Evelyn, shocked, struggling to comprehend, "No, that can't be true. Grace isn't." "Marcus, it's why we were brought together. You, me, her. The ritual was meant to erase everything, to restart this city, to wipe the slate clean."